for the purpose of keeping it on record, I have mentioned here the success rate for the optional also, for the PSIR optional. You can go ahead and check for others if you wish to go for other optionals. But with respect to PSIR, if you see, I have taken the data from the UPSC annual reports from 2016 to 2020, and the number of students who are appearing with PSIR as their optional, they are increasing with a success rate which is restricted to above 8%. In certain cases, it has gone to 9.4% also in 2017. But otherwise, 8% is a good number. Generally, the percentage for famous optionals, they vary from 8, 9 to 10%. That is where it remains. Obviously, for some subjects, like let's say physics or chemistry, you may have a success rate of more than 10% also. But there, the number of students who are appearing are less. Nevertheless, this is an important consideration for people. So for certain people, if it is an important consideration, I beg your pardon, then you may consider it. Now, this is an important aspect which I would discuss with you in a little bit more detail. This is with respect to the huge overlap with GS. And let's clearly see where the overlap is. If we talk about General Studies 1, approximately 20% overlap exists. And where this overlap exists in two portions. One is the history portion, certain parts in modern history, and certain parts in post-independent history of India. These are the two areas whereby you will see there are many topics in PSIR also. They are completely overlapping with this section of GS1. Second is the society section of GS1, where we study about caste, religion, ethnicity, globalization. These topics, they are core themes of society, and they are very well a part of PSIR's paper 1 part 2. Paper 1 part paper 2 we'll discuss in detail in the coming sessions. So stay with me. So we have General Studies 1, nearly 20% of overlap. Before I go towards GS2, essay, I would dare say that there is a complete overlap. I would dare say there is a complete overlap simply because of the reason that as a part of political science, there are number of topics which we study. Those number of topics, number of themes can be around secularism, women rights, democracy, socialism, liberalism, feminism, and abstract things also, which in common parlance sometimes it is called as abstract, but this is creative thinking in social sciences, and that conceptual aspects, they are very much a part of the kind of topics being asked in essays these days by UPSC. You go and see the previous year question papers of UPSC from the essay paper, you will find a lot of proverbial essays, or sometimes we call it that there are idioms being given or age-old sayings, they are coming as a part of the essay paper. There can be some easier topics also in essay, but generally a philosophical essay, a proverbial essay, or an abstract essay has been asked by UPSC. What used to happen earlier was that UPSC has two sections in essay paper. In one section, they would ask a simple topic, which is generally a straightforward topic, and in part 2, what they would ask is a topic which is more philosophical in nature, or sometimes abstract in nature, which you have to interpret as per your own capabilities, and then you have to present your views on that. But lately what UPSC has been doing is they have gone for giving in both the sections same philosophical kinds of essays. That is where students with options like PSIR, they have an edge, because they can understand those things very easily. Why they can understand those things easily? Because political theory is all about that part. Otherwise, the themes which I discussed with you, they are very well covered as a part of general syllabus of PSIR. So you have all the content for the essay as a part of your optionals. Obviously, you will need to learn the art of writing an essay, and once you are done with that, your essay paper is largely prepared. That is why I dare say there is 100% overlap. Now, come to GS2. If we talk about General Studies 2, General Studies 2 paper is further categorized into 4 parts. One is the Indian polity part, the Indian polity or the Indian constitution part, or the Indian political system part. Second is the governance part. Third is the social justice part. And fourth is the IR part. Now, if I see in these 4 parts, what is the overlap with PSIR? There is a complete overlap when it comes to first and fourth point. Indian polity completely covered in paper 1 part 2 of PSIR. International relations paper 2 part 2 of PSIR. Both these things are absolutely covered. Few themes in social justice are also covered. Governance, you'll have more or less 5 to 10% overlap. That's it. Collectively making an overlap of 80%, which is a big plus point for the optional. General Studies 3, further, you have economy portion in General Studies 3. You have science and tech portion in General Studies 3. You have few themes of environment in GS3. And finally, you have internal security in GS3. Now, out of these 4 portions of GS3, you have a good overlap in economy. You have an overlap in internal security because of the international relations part, which we study in a much more detail in PSIR. That internal security with respect to at least the border areas, that is very well covered in the optional. So I have taken a conservative estimate of 15 to 20% in GS3 also. Now, GS4, there is the 50%, nearly 50% overlap. Why is this the case? GS4 can be further divided into the conceptual part of GS4, and second is the case studies part. Obviously, the case studies part, that is the application based part, but when it comes to the conceptual part, again, there is a huge overlap because of the fact that when we study political theory and when we study the thoughts of various thinkers, whether it is the Western thinker, whether it is the Indian thinker, and when we study the ideologies associated with their thoughts, that is where the ethics part 1 has a huge overlap. There are certain portion of governance of General Studies 2 which have overlap with GS4. Those portions you will not find a lot of overlap with PSIR, but the ones which are on the conceptual side more, not more on the governance side, you will find overlap there. So dare I say, you will have a good 50% overlap in GS4 also. This is one of the reasons why I can say that the optional is a good optional. Obviously, it will be a lengthy optional. It will be a lengthy optional, but if we do the cost benefit analysis, it makes sense that yes, an optional like this can be considered. Okay. So this was a little bit about how PSIR is a good optional from the perspective of its overlap with general studies. In the next session, I'll also discuss with you how exactly to approach PSIR as an optional. So please stay tuned, and I hope this small session added some value to your understanding with respect to the optionals. I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much.